Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're the last panel of the day. It's very overwhelming to see how many people are in this room, completely packed. But jokes aside, we're very excited to kick off this panel. So sit back and relax. First, let me introduce all the panelists here. We have Lloyd from Monsterra. Please come on up. And we also have Kevin from ABGA. And Jekyll from Delphi Digital. Arief from Confliction Lab. Last but not least, Ray from Matrix. Cool. As mentioned, we're the last panel of the day, so I'm going to do my best as a moderator to stick to the time limit that we have. But I'll be honest, I feel very flexible and comfortable right now, given that we're the last panel. So we'll start with a round of introduction for everyone, and I'll start with myself. My name is Alex from HAECHI Labs. We are one of the largest and I must say one of the, thankfully, most trusted smart contract auditing and Web3 wallet providers out of South Korea. We work with some of the largest AAA game studios from Korea and Japan, such as Nexon's MapleStory Universe or Square Enix. We've been in this business for about 6 years. We're accelerated by the Ethereum Foundation and Samsung, and we'll continue to support our gaming partners in their blockchain game journey. So now I'll start with Lido. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, and you can go around.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. It's Lido, CMO of Monsterra NFT game. We already built the games in 2022 until now, and backed by the top VC like Hush, Hobby Venture, Shima Capital, Isolab, and Solar Venture as well. So Monsterra is, the top money chain game on BNB Chain, Avalanche, OKEx, and Aura Network. We have live 5 races of motions within the game, 6 dynamic play mode, and 9, component within the comprehensive ecosystem. And right now we record about more than 500,000 of the gamer since 2024 till now.
Hello, I'm Kevin. I'm from ABGA. ABGA is the Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance. We just set the alliance 3 years ago in the Singapore. And we are the association focused on Web3 Gaming Alliance because we think Web3 Gaming is more potential right now in our industry. So we want to contribute to our industry. Thank you.
Hello. I gotta say, I'm loving these dramatic smoke effects. I'm
Mysterious.
yeah, I'm Joseph. Some people know me as Jackal. I lead gaming research at Delphi Digital. Delphi is a research firm covering institutional research for all verticals. We also have a VC and a labs division. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Arief. I'm coming from Indonesia. I used to run the biggest game company in Indonesia called ABGA for the past almost 15 years, and now I'm aiming into Web3 with Confliction Lab. So we're building a game called Riftstone. So technically imagine like Diablo meet Hades with guns. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone. I'm Ray. I'm co-founder from the Matrix.io. Matrix is a AI plus Web3 culture platform with solid infrastructures. And in last February global test server, we have achieved 1 million downloads and also about 1 million on-chain transactions. And we are fully preparing the official launch in June. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the introduction, everyone. And just to keep this as interesting and dynamic as possible, I told the panelists already that not everybody has to speak to the questions that we have. The folks that have any questions that are especially more resonating, please feel free to jump in. So today's topic is Web3 gaming trends in Southeast Asia. market growth and future outlook. So as I explained myself, I'm particularly familiar with the gaming scenes out of Korea and Japan, which is home to a lot of the AAA traditional game studios that have been jumping into Web3 in the past couple of years. So you can think of, again, Nexon, Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Netmarble, Kakao Games, Line Games, so on and so forth. So we saw a great rise of this Web2 incumbents jumping into the Web3 in the past 2.5 years. And to be honest, I think the traction, while it's been built up in the past 3 years, the momentum has slowed down a bit because the launches have been delayed sometimes. And I think the market condition hopefully is just started to pick up. So hopefully we'll some bigger traction in the later half of this year. But today, with all the panels that we have, what I love about all you guys is that we're all based in different regions. So while we have the word Southeast Asia, which is a misnomer in many times where people often refer to Southeast Asia as if it's a giant country. It's not. It's made up of a lot of many different countries that are very, very different. So I would love to have our panelists speak more about how different countries that you guys are based currently and are running your services and games, and speak more about how there are different gaming trends and what the future outlook looks like. So the first question that I would love to ask is, what are some specific Web3 gaming trends that you see in the particular geography that you're in? So I think we have Hong Kong, Taipei, Indonesia, China, Singapore, and Vietnam. That's a pretty diverse mix there. So I feel like with this first question, everybody can jump in. Maybe I can start with you, Ray. So in your geography, what particular things that you see in your geography about the trend in the Web3 gaming field?
Okay, actually, for last year, I have traveled over 10 countries and regions. I've been traveled to all the Southeast Asia countries. I feel that there is a big trend for the Web3 gamers that they like to play to earn. Second, they like tournaments. For us, we are a shooting game, mobile shooting game, and I think the Free Fire and the PUBG Mobile has over kind of 150 million shooting game mobile users in these areas. But the one problem is that if you are running a very big game, it's very difficult for them to play it, because I think in most areas in Southeast Asia, they're playing a very mobile shooting game with low downloading package. For us, max file is our downloading package is below 1G, and it can be played in the $100 Android phones. So we see great opportunities that the people we have the kind of some great opportunities to onboard these users, 150 million. This is our target users. So this is what we want to do, and we are about to fully prepare our official launch in June. I think the whole market will see what we can do in the Southeast Asia market. I think our mission for the Web3 game is to achieve massive adoption. Thank you.
Arief?
Yeah, I think if we're talking about specifically in Indonesia, Indonesia is the biggest country in Southeast Asia with 270 million. Interestingly is that it's still predominantly led or maybe like captured by Web2 games. I think like you mentioned, like Free Fire, Mobile Legends is like the top game. But I think that's actually the biggest opportunity, because if we see the growth of the crypto adoption in Indonesia, it's actually starting to pick up like in the past few months. So even like there's a comparison that the one that hold like stock exchange account is only like 1 to 2 million, but the crypto active wallet in Indonesia is now like 6 million, 7 million. So I think we might see an explosion in the market. Maybe hopefully Indonesia could become one of the maybe like Philippines or Vietnam in the last cycle. Yeah, I think that's maybe to sum it up.
Cool. Checkle, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I don't have any specific comments on any particular region. I think Ray did a good job of summing it up with play to earn and tournaments. The way I look at Southeast Asia at the moment is it's predominantly filmed with farmers, right? They're fairly costly in terms of user acquisition, and they're not necessarily going to monetize well. However, they're really good if you want early core community to test your game. So test the core loop very early on, test UA. They're also great advocates. They will become your brand ambassadors. And then also if you're playing if you're building a multiplayer game, then you need to be able to have mass adoption to a certain extent, not necessarily width of monetization, but focus on high spenders in maybe like tier 1 countries, Japan, China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, I think is something that a lot more people are spending time. Singapore, I think, again. But yeah, if you're looking purely at the majority of them, even in countries like Thailand, which has had traditionally a higher ARPU, it's all for games like or IPs like Ragnarok, and Web3 hasn't quite tapped into the spenders. So yeah, you gotta balance it out, right? How many farmers do you want compared to who your spenders are? And yeah, just kind of look at it as a UA cost.
Kevin?
Yeah, because we based in Singapore and ABGA is focused on Asian market, so we have more than 100 institutions in our alliance. Most of the time, I talk with my member. We just discuss about what our industry right now, some situation. I remember 2 years ago we have an event in Singapore. In that time, most of the projects they just PPT. They don't have the product. But last year we found like Matchfire, Big Time, MetaSync, and most of the projects they have the test. People can willing to play. But this year we see more and more projects is ready to launch to the market. I think it's very good news for us because before we just can play like X and Step. Actually, more and more Web2 gamers, they don't think it's playable. It's just for financial, but this time we can find like Big Time. If you just watch the video in the YouTube, sometimes you will see some advertisement about the Big Time. So they can make money from Web2 users. I think it's very good. It's an example. We can not only just rely on the Web3 users, because Web3 users can support your money, but they can't spend more time to play your game. But we need to more and more Web2 users to play the game. So I think maybe from now on, maybe Web3 games can different than last cycle. Yeah, it's my opinion.
I think that I agree with the opinion from our friends today, but actually additional more because we are also observe and build the games in 2024, 2022 till now, about nearly 2 years. So I also see about the trend to making more fully on-chain game, but it's very difficult and a little bit not easy to bring the complex logic of the game to be fully on-chain. That's the first one. So it also maybe can be considered as the trend of this year. But other than that, I also see that we also expect to apply more technology into the game, like AI or VR or maybe AI. It's just for the purpose of making more seamless experience for the user and acquire more user, especially in Southeast Asia country. So that's what I see.
Thanks, everyone. And I think this is a good transition to also talking about why Southeast Asia as a region could be far more attractive than other regions around the world when it comes to Web3 gaming and actually Web3 adoption in general. I think some of you guys have already spoken to it. So the explosive growth in the crypto space, leveraging the population in Indonesia, for example. I think that was a great example of why perhaps more developers should pay attention to the Southeast Asian region. So could any of you speak more about what makes you think, or what makes you feel more bullish about the Web3 gaming adoption in this region?
I mean, I don't know if bullish is the right way to put it.
Bearish?
Not bearish, but I mean, I think if your game needs to be profitable, right? I think if you want to create a profitable game, you shouldn't expect to find that in Southeast Asia, or at least there isn't data to prove that that's going to happen. As I briefly touched on before, I think the real unlock for this region is in early testing, building that golden cohort early on that's going to become brand ambassadors and help spread the word. Because UA still sucks, right? Not just in Web3, but in gaming in general. So if you're able to leverage like community building to help onboard people via like word of mouth, for example, I think that's a incredibly powerful tool. You just need to understand like what specific player archetypes are present in this region and then like cater to that audience. Pixels, I think, is a great example of a game that has done really well in like Philippines. And it's hard to argue against the fact that the majority of people are there for value extraction. But that being said, they were able to start a flywheel early on via the like help of Ronin and YGG, for example, which then propelled them into the position where they're at now, where they're essentially able to like leverage the price growth of the token to use that as like an alternative source of revenue. So I think, yeah, that's one way to look at it. How sustainable it is, I think, is another question.
Maybe I want to add from like our specific observation. I think in what we built, like Riftstorm, we from the start, like we try to build the game as sustainable as possible in terms of economy, but we also realized that most of the, especially like emerging country Web3 gamers is agree with Jack here that they only focus on value extraction. So I think we need to balance that with where like the whales coming in, where like the big spenders coming in. I think for us, like our number one, when we do our playtest, our number one users is still coming from Indonesia because we're based there, but number two is coming from US, number three is coming from Europe, predominantly Germany, Spain, and France. And then some East Asia also, but East Asia is harder because we need to localize on its country. So I think we did that. So in terms of like gamers, I think we need to be really careful on the East Asia market because most of them really focus on value extraction. If we don't have any mechanism on how to use that kind of traction to grow our other side of the business, then it's better not to touch it. I think that's the better way to put it. On the other side though, if we actually try to attract the speculators, maybe like retail investors market, I think the next 2 years will be a very exciting time to attract them, especially like usually for us, I think we'll try to use the local kind of like story to actually help us on the market. Yeah.
If I could quickly jump in, I'm curious, what do you think is the perfect split between like paying users and like maybe tier 3?
Good question. I would love us to pick your brain. I think it depends on the timing of the game. I think for us, like during our play test, all is like paying users. So we really like, just want to know the feedback of the paying users. On the early part of the growth, I think it will be like 50-50 because we need the farmers to actually like because in Web3 it's about who's the loudest, not who's the half-baked explorer. So I think we need them for the loud. But as the game grows, maybe like 1 year, I think we'll be like 70-30. It's more like healthy way of World of Warcraft kind of like split, and hopefully like over time, yeah, it will be grow more on spending side.
I think one thing should be noticed that I think it's very it's necessary for a project to balance between the real players and the robots, because even in the Web2 game world, the shooting game actually faced a lot of hackers or kind of they're building some cheating programs to get more resources from you. But in the Web3 game, it's kind of universal. You have to do a lot of anti-cheating things. If you give all your resources to the robots or some farmers, some majority of them are not real players. They will not try to tell his friends, "Oh, your game is great." So we have for our game Matrix 5, we have anti-cheating systems. We can distinguish for the real people and the robots. So we keep, but I think farmers is kind of necessary for every project to decorate their Twitters or kind of communities. But for come to the real game operations, I think the anti-cheating thing are most important for every Web3 project. You have to onboard the real people, because the real people have the real social value, or they can stream your game or tell your friend that to invite them to your game. So this is what we want to talk to the to friends here. That I think the potential risk of the Web3 game are kind of difficult due to the hackers and a lot of robot game studios.
Cool. I think with the interest of time, I want to switch gears in a bit and talk more about challenges that you guys have been facing in the region, right? So whether it's, again, country by country, it could be different, but whether it's regulation related, whether it's lack of education from the retail level, whether it's lack of access to the services and applications, curious how you feel as some of the biggest challenges that you face in running, launching, and operating the services that you guys all run in the region.
Let me go first, okay? I think that because it's combined of a lot of different aspects, so to indicate about the biggest challenge, it's really hard. But I think that I can highlight some of the the most biggest challenge from our side. The first one is about why this development the game. So there's a lot of Web3 is still like at early stage, so it means that we have to have a lot of Web3 knowledge and blockchain technology, everything, so apply into traditional game. A lot of developer from our Monsterra team also like come from like traditional gaming industry. So luckily we also have the support from our backer, so the tech the leader one, so it's very like helpful for us to onboarding Web3 easier. Other than that, I think it's about the mass adoptions, because like normally it are available on browser or maybe PC. But to do for mass adoption, I think it must be on mobile, because now everyone has a mobile phone like on Android and iOS, and we have to face a lot of obstacle while onboarding with the mobile devices with just some kind of policies from App Store and CA Play as well. The latest one I think is about like how to engage and increase the engagement rate and community engagement at the same time with increase the loyalty from our community member. But luckily we have a lot of loyal player come from like Southeast Asia country, from Philippines, Indonesia, and of course Vietnam. Vietnam is just like considered the top the capital of the GameFi. I just heard it about like 2 years ago. So yep, I think it's some kind of also like positive side of the challenge.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think we've spoken about quite a few of them already. I would love to go back to Ray's point about bots, because I think there's like sometimes a bit of confusion here. When people think bots, they automatically think AI, where in reality a big problem in this region is because of cheap labor. A simple bot, you can kind of get rid of it with GAPTCHA, right? Or other kind of easy barriers. But the real issue here is because of cheap labor, you have like these factories of workers with like 100 phones in front of them, and that's really hard to combat. And I think as AI gets better, it's only going to get more difficult. So, I mean, like, good luck to you guys, right? I think some ways I've heard of people doing it is to put like the like a pay barrier, like a battle pass or something, and lock the rewards behind the battle pass. But yeah, it's tough, especially in the early stages of the game, as you alluded to, right? Where you need more of those like farmer archetypes in order to kind of get the flywheel going for marketing and growth. Yeah, it's super tough. I think the best things that like teams can do really is just mentally be like, okay, like 30% or 10% of the token is like just going to farmers, right? Like just take it is payday, and then hopefully over time you're able to like introduce some more payment barriers. Big Time is a good example, right? Where when they first turned on the economy, it was like everyone was making so much money, and then slowly they started to be like, okay, this isn't sustainable, so let's add in more like cost barriers, more things that you need to purchase. They changed the hourglass feature so that you had to spend more, and it's just this balancing act. But yeah, bots is going to continue to be a struggle for everyone.
Interesting. It's named as a challenge because I think in the past I've also talked to some of the projects that actually take advantage of these bots to have some short-term lift on the numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I actually want to add both of Jack and Alex point. So like both is only cause how to say like a result of an initial problem of incentivized users. Because there is incentive, there is bot. Then that's why we need to like solve the bot problem. But I think for us, I think the biggest challenge is how to balance between short-term battle for the long-term like winning the war kind of question. Because in the Web3 space, we're not only competing with other games, but we're also competing on liquidity. We're also competing on awareness. And this is actually the hardest battle. Why? Because everybody is so incentivized with short-term incentive, and even like we also compete with scammers. And this is actually super hard because if we want to be winning here, it might also like I would say like losing some of long-term advantage. I think this is our biggest challenge. We haven't yet really know how to solve this.
Let me know, yeah.
All right. I think we have just slightly less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to jump into the last question that I think applies to everybody here. So I want all of you to have an opportunity to speak about this. If you could speak to the people that are in this room and just share one thing that you're most excited about when it comes to Web3 gaming scenes in Southeast Asian region, what would it be?
I the first, because I invest a lot of project for gaming last cycle, but I remember in 2022 I invested a project. It's Upper City. It's a fully launch game in the Israel. In that time, I think because DeFi summer years happened that time. I remember maybe May, but they can very fast to learn from it, and they can use NFTs to boost your LPs in Uniswap. I think it's very interesting. So I engaged to play the game, but the team, they don't have the genius for game, so they stop their project. It's a little bit for me, yeah. But after that, they just do another project. I think it's very successful, Project Galaxy, the same team, yeah. So for me, I think most of the gaming project in the Web3, they just can, for website side, they can get the mindset from Web3, but they don't have the mindset to the game for last long time. So this is why we can find lots of the game can experience the bull market to bear market. So maybe this time we can find like big time like other games, because big time I know they just get the fund from the VC for equity. They don't sell the token to the investors. So after they launch the games, they just deliver the token to the players. So this is fair launch for the players. Compared to other projects, at the last cycle, they just sell the token to the investors, listing in the big exchange, and then they just lay down. Yeah, maybe. So this cycle, I think we can find more and more projects. Maybe they can find learn something from some like big time to long-term mindset in their maybe build. Yeah, it's my opinion. Thank you.
There are two things that stand out, particular to this region. I think number one is developer cost. So outsourcing development, I think is really attractive. Like there's very smart, well-capable development teams. I think I was talking to the guys at Folius, and they have a thesis of like, there's going to be like, I don't know, 250 teams from China per week coming into Web3, like this huge amount of developer content, like just coming into Web3. And likewise, I think there's a lot of scrappy teams in Southeast Asia. The second would be player liquidity. So we've kind of talked about it a little bit, where now like there's so many games launching this year, there's so many tokens launching, that if you want to get listed on popular exchanges, you need to be able to capture mindshare. So you need attention, and you need on-chain metrics, right? So like token volume, high floor price, like various different NFT collections and players, right? The issue we're facing now is what is a player and what is a bot. I think at some point we will have measures to like have, proof of human. And when that comes about, Southeast Asia is going to be a really great spot for acquiring that player liquidity. So teams like YGG, I know GuildFi is doing something similar. A lot of these, old guilds now have the ability to challenge themselves and say, how can we funnel players from this game to that game? We've seen it a little bit with like questing platforms and stuff, but I think it's all kind of half-baked. I'm very curious to see how Ronin does and see if they're able to take players from Pixels and funnel them into a different game. TBC, right? Well, let's see what happens. But that if you did Proof of Human in the US, there's like, I don't know, there's like 10 people, right? but in Southeast Asia, they really do. They're incentivized to participate in these games. And I think if you think of it as like a marketing expense, you're able to onboard those players, which then help drive the metrics you need to get listed on major exchanges. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. I think for us, it's not really like what we're really excited. It's not about the region itself, because mainly because we are from here. But mainly how we always see things from the fundamental technology and how it actually changes human behavior. I think that is always the basic initial thinking. For us, like we always see that blockchain actually solve trust. And we always ask the question of which part of the game industry they actually have a trust problem. Because if everybody's talking about ownership, gamers don't have trust ownership problem. They trust Steam, they trust Xbox. If it's and like interoperability, like Pokemon, they already did interoperable in Game Boy. But I think it's the intersection of blockchain and AI that AI actually solve one thing: capability gap. So for us, like our key thesis is around collaborative entertainment. So the idea is that more and more people will actually be able to contribute, not only just contribute to offer their time to be incentivized to play, but also like they could start to create dungeon, they could start to create monster. And even if they have no background in computer science or art, they could do it because of the AI advancement. I think the myriads of those two technologies is the one that we're really excited about.
Any last words why you guys are excited about the region?
I've spent 1-2 minutes to align my points. That I've been traveled to a lot of countries. I think for last cycle, you can see the countries that the players from the Vietnam and the Philippines support the super cycle of HAECHI. But I think in this round, this cycle, more people from the Indonesia and from our testing data, we have a lot of players from the India, Indonesia and Brazil, because this place the shooting game is ranking the first or second the most popular game in their countries. They are hoping to see a new mobile shooting game come out. So I think, but their revenue is very low because we can add more play to earn or tournaments into the let them to play to boost their revenues. But although they can earn $1 or $2 a day, they double their spending. So this is very attractive for them, I think. So I think I see a huge wave of new Web3 players come out from the sea, India or Brazil. I think this cycle is totally different, where there will be more people to get involved into the Web3 games or other Web3 applications. Okay.
Okay, I think that let's summarize everything. So I'm very excited because like Southeast Asia countries has witnessed a lot of attentions from global market, not only for like investor but also like builder and also the gamer. So it's open up, and we also like embrace the other opportunity out there for developing high quality product, and also at the same time would engage with the community more and more. So that is
Awesome. Well, thank you, panelists, for sharing your insight today. And thank you, everyone, for staying till the end. Have a great night, everyone.